Welcome to this series of By Faith. I believe that we live this Christian life by faith. And I'm excited about us coming together over these next several weeks and the journey that we're going to be taking together. I want to, first of all, congratulate you because you need to understand that this is not a time that you're just, expensing out. Okay, I'm making another night. I'm taking away. This is what I want you to understand is an investment into your life, an investment that, well, with any investment, you expect a payoff. And I believe that this is going to pay off greatly in your life. If you're setting with your family, that this is going to be a time that pays off as a family, because I believe God is going to increase your life and also bring about spiritual maturity at the same time. So we're going to go ahead and get right into session 1 here. And I want you to take a look at your notes and the scripture that's written there from Hebrews chapter 10, which we're going to be spending some time in Hebrews. But notice that first part that says, by my righteousness, one will live by faith. I love that verse because it's not about works or living by work, but by faith. He goes on to say that if he shrinks back, I will not be pleased with him. But we are not of those who shrink back and are destroyed, but of those who believe and are saved. Amen. I want to challenge you and just encourage you. Keep going forward. Never shrink back or turn around or see. I guess it's like it's been stated before that the Christian life is like riding a bicycle. If when you're riding a bicycle, it's easy to keep your balance and not fall as long as you're going forward. But what happens, have you ever tried to balance the bike there while you're just standing still with your feet on the pedals? It doesn't work. Our Christian life is much like that as well. We got to move forward. If we try standing still, if we try holding still, that's maintaining in that sense. That's where we run into the problems. And so I want to encourage you to keep going forward. And I'm believing that as we get into this series, it's going to help you to move forward in that sense. Skeptic once said that faith is an illogical belief in the occurrence of the impossible. Well, I happen to believe the opposite of that is true. I believe faith is what opens the door, it unlocks the key in that sense to walk through what would seem impossible, because with God, nothing is impossible. That next verse in your notes there, Hebrews chapter 11, that great Hall of Fame chapter. It says, now faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. The old King James, I apologize, says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And that verse is a very interesting verse. When you get into that word substance, for example, it is a Greek word called hupas dosis. Two Greek words, hupas meaning under and dosis meaning standing. So in essence, when we live by faith, we are able to stand under anything. And it's sort of like a person who's into weight training. And when they're mounting those bars and he's doing that weightlifting thing, as he goes on, he's able to have more weight put on him so that he's able to lift it up and bring it down and bring it up and bring it down in that sense. And you today, you might be being wiped out by things that are being laid on you, the weights and so forth. And I want you to understand, I'm believing that this series about faith is going to increase your strength to be able to stand under anything. It's the substance. It's the substance. In fact, in your notes there, the first line says that faith is to a Christian what a foundation is to a house. It gives confidence and assurance that he will stand. So that's what substance is, the ability to stand under anything. And that next phrase, which is the evidence of things not seen. Evidence, in other words, it's what we would understand as proof of ownership. For example, how do you know, or how do you know that you're the owner of that car? How can you show me that you're the owner of that car? When you pull out that pink slip, or how about your house? If you're like, most of us who's still paying a mortgage on your house, how do you know that you own your house? It's by that title deed. So faith is the title deed or pink slip of things hoped for in that sense. Faith is the currency of the kingdom. The currency. For example, if you go to the grocery store, or if you go to that place, so what's it called? Oh, Walmart, yeah. If I'm not entering something into the checkbook on a weekly basis under Walmart, then either we've been on vacation, which in that case we've still gone to a Walmart, or something's definitely wrong. Somebody's been sick somewhere. But anyways, in order to transact business, it requires something called money, cash, bucks, dollars, cents. And if you go over into another country besides here, just in America, for example, if you go over to the British Isles, you're dealing with the pound. Over in Europe, you're dealing with the euro. So in order to be able to transact business there, you have to exchange that currency for the currency that is used in that area. Well, the kingdom of heaven it's by faith that it operates on that currency. So that's why this is such an important subject to begin with in that sense. In other words, as it says there in your notes, faith is seeing your heart. Faith is seeing your heart. So you got substance and evidence, the substance of things hoped for that you're able to stand on anything, and the evidence, the title deed or pink slip to those things that aren't seen. It's the, as Paul would say in Ephesians, that he would pray, and this is a great prayer, that the eyes of your heart would be enlightened. The eyes of your heart, the eyes of your understanding would be enlightened so that you're able to see into the inner man. And then what that does is it creates faith. And so as you're able to see, that faith kicks in, and then you're able to do. You're able to walk. So we don't walk according to what we see, but by faith. You see, it's like Jesus when he would heal somebody. Remember what his last phrases were most of the time? He would say, "Go, your faith has made you whole. Go, your faith has made you free. Your faith, your faith, your faith." You see in your notes there, the most important thing is not how much faith you have, but what your faith is in. Let me just say that again. The most important thing is not how much faith you have, but what you have your faith in. For faith is only as good as its object. For example, if I had a cardboard box and I was looking at that cardboard box and I would say to myself, I'm believing I have faith that that cardboard box can hold me, so I'm going to stand on that cardboard box. I have faith in that box that it's going to hold me. I got faith. I'm going to be able to stand on that. It's not mind over matter. If I was to go out on Route 14 and stand in front of a semi-truck coming down the road at 50 miles an hour, unless it was breaking the speed limit or something, I could stand there all day long and say, I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe. But guess what? Splat is going to happen. Interpret that however you want to interpret it. But the bottom line is, it's about faith in the object. And as your notes say there, the object of one's faith must hold one up. The object of our faith is God. And we want your faith to be able to grow through this series, to be able to grow and to literally, in that sense, realize. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not talking about having this humongous faith, but actually realizing that you can have a little faith as long as it's in a great God, if you understand what I'm saying. So please understand, because what I'm talking about is I believe that there's a breakthrough coming for many people. That Jesus is going to be going, hey, go, be healed. Your faith has made you whole. So true faith is not simply mental assent. It's not just mentally agreeing that, okay, 2 plus 2 is 4. George Washington was the first president of the United States, and Jesus Christ was the Son of God. It's more than just mentally agreeing. True faith generates a response of trust and obedience. Not just to believe, if you would, in something, but to trust and obey, as the old course would say there in your notes. My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I love that song. You've probably heard me tell the story before of the gentleman who walked a tightrope across Niagara Falls. And with it, he was carrying a 200-pound bag of sand as he balanced himself over the falls on that tightrope. And when he reached on the other side, the crowd was over there going, yeah, yeah, all that stuff. And then he gets done, and he says this: how many here believe that I could carry a 200-pound person across this tightrope as well? And the crowd's going, yeah, we believe, we believe. So, and you're probably ahead of me right now. But he looks at them and says, okay, who's going to be my first volunteer? Again, I'll say it. It's not just believing that he could do it. It's putting your life into his hands. It's trusting and obeying, putting yourself into that, not just believing that he could, but taking that step of faith. Bible faith is revealed by our actions. There in James chapter 2 and verse 17, it says, in the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. To live by faith means you build your life on the foundation of who God has revealed himself to be in his word. It's sort of much like a mentor that begins to show you and open up and explain that even when things don't necessarily make sense, or you begin to question, is that going to work that way? It doesn't seem like it would. As we learn to live by faith in God, our lives will be a catalyst, which is a change agent. That's what a catalyst is. Our lives will be a catalyst empowering the transformation of our families, of our schools, workplaces, communities. That's what I believe living by faith is. Living by faith, walking by faith, acting by faith, speaking by faith, breathing by faith can really do in your life. I believe we're in for a great journey over these next several weeks together, and I look forward to what's going to happen in that sense. You've heard the old terminology, if you give that person an inch, he'll take a mile. Well, with God, that's a good thing. If you give God that inch, I believe that he's going to take that inch and turn it into something that you're going to find your life being transformed because of. He's going to take that mile. I look forward to spending the next several weeks with you as we continue to realize what it is to live by faith. God bless you. We'll see you next time.